All right, let's play a little five fingers game. And I know this is usually reserved as like a fun drinking game, but unfortunately, it's currently a Tuesday morning, and all I'm drinking is my third cold cup of coffee of the day because mom life. Okay, so put your hand up and put a finger down if your to-do list usually feels never-ending. Put a finger down if you do create physical to-do lists but somehow often fail to execute them. Put a finger down if you create work to-do lists, but then you neglect making to-do lists for other aspects of your life. Put a finger down if you often feel like you have about 100 tabs open in your brain trying to remember everything you gotta do. And finally, put a finger down if you think Ross and Rachel were on a break. All right, obviously the last one has nothing to do with to-do lists in today's video. I just ran out of ideas. And honestly, they were not on a break. Definitely not on a break. Okay, back to the point of this video. You are not alone if you've got a lot on your to-do list and you've got a lot swimming around in your brain about what you need to get done, and yet you seem to fail day after day to prioritize and execute your to-do list. And you're left day after day still feeling like you're swimming in a sea of tasks, just sort of like grabbing onto whatever life raft you see, and unfortunately managing your to-do list this way will likely mean that the only raft you're gonna see is Rose after the Titanic sank. And we all know how Rose feels about sharing room on her raft. Now listen, I totally understand and I relate to all these feelings and points that I've just made about to-do lists. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a homeowner, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a business owner. I wear a lot of hats, which means I've got a lot of to-dos that need to be taken care of at any given time. And in 2020, when COVID first hit and everything shut down, I suddenly found myself trying to run my business, maintain it in my home, be a full-time mom, and still try to find time to eat dinner. And it took a little trial and error, but I finally learned a fairly simple method that has helped me immensely in tackling my to-do list in a way that is manageable, simple, and practical, and most importantly, sustainable. And today, I'm gonna share that with you because I really like you guys. So my key to finally tackling your to-do list can be broken down into two simple steps. Step number one, brain dumping. Step number two, scheduling. And that's it, guys. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I guess thanks for watching this video. I hope that it helped you out a lot. And no, I'm only kidding. Although I'm not kidding about it only being 2 steps. I literally have boiled it down to just 2 steps. And I actually sat down to plan this video and I was like, surely, Kallie, there must be another step. But the truth is there isn't, and I really wanted there to be because I felt like 3 simple steps just sounded better than 2 simple steps. But honestly, once I thought about it, it's pretty refreshing because I've truly read a crap ton of books and articles about productivity and getting things done and managing your to-do list, and you want to know what? A lot of them are great, but they're kind of complex at the end of the day. I don't really need a to-do list for my to-do list, you know? Maybe these methods work for staunch businessmen wearing suits at conference tables, but listen, I gotta squeeze in my bookkeeping and a video production between making mac and cheese and pretending like I'm gonna put away the laundry that's been in the hallway for 2 days. Give me the quick rundown, the down and dirty method. That's what I got for you today. 2 steps. Let's get at it. Step number 1, brain dumping. Brain dumping is just the act of getting the shit you gotta do in your head onto a piece of paper or into a phone or tablet or Wi-Fi glasses or whatever futuristic device that you want to use. Sometimes I brain dump onto paper just because I find it oddly therapeutic to put pen to paper, but personally, ultimately, my brain dumping ends up mostly being on my phone, typically in my Todoist app. Again, there's no right way to do this. The point is you just have a place where you put down your tasks. Now, the only rule here about what you choose is you need whatever you decide to put down your tasks into to be something that's easily accessible. It's why I use my phone, because the one thing about to-do lists and tasks, as I'm sure we're all very well aware, is they pop into your brain at any given random time, right? You're walking the dog, you remember you gotta get flea and tick medicine. You're making dinner, you realize you gotta clean out the freezer. You're responding to an email, and then you remember you were supposed to send a file to someone else. You're cleaning up the mac and cheese that your child threw on the floor even though they said they really wanted it, but now you gave it to them and they say it's yucky. And you remember something that you needed to do for work. The point is these tasks tend to pop into our brains at different, often inconvenient times, not just when we conveniently sit down to make a list. So you need an accessible place to write them down, wherever they come into your head. It's why I like using my Todoist app because usually my phone is somewhere nearby me. Now, the important thing about brain dumping is that it is just that. You're just putting the tasks onto paper or into the app. It's not about prioritizing them, it's not about scheduling them or managing them, it's just the act of taking them out of your brain and putting them somewhere concrete. Because if we know anything about our brain, we know that it's not always the most reliable place for remembering every little thought. So when a thought pops into your brain, you want to be able to write it down so it's not lost behind other important facts in your brain, like the entire season of Friends when Ross and Rachel were definitely not on a break. And that's all you really need to know about step 1. It's just as simple as the act of when a thought pops into your head, you need to take it out of your head because it's not that reliable. Alright, we're done with step 1, which means we can move on to step 2, which is scheduling. And this is the step where I think most people's to-do lists fall apart. The important thing about scheduling that many of us fail to do is you need to schedule time to schedule. And I know this seems a little ridiculous and repetitive, like when we used to wear double popped collars in the early 2000s. But listen, unlike popped collars, some things are worth doing twice. So yes, you need to schedule time to schedule your time. You need time ideally every day to tend to your to-do list and calendar. And if me saying every day has you a little bit like a deer in headlights, just know this doesn't need to be like a long time-consuming thing. Typically I spend 5 or 10 minutes daily with my to-do list, and then once a week I'll spend 30, maybe 45 minutes. So what does the scheduling time look like? Well, it's time that you sit down uninterrupted with your brain dump and you schedule out the tasks and when you are going to complete them. I break my scheduling down into 3 different categories: weekly, daily, time blocks. And in short, that means I decide what's happening this week, what's happening each day of that week, and then I time block each day out. Now again, there isn't really a right way to do this. I use my Todoist app, but if your brain dump is on paper, you could do this on a paper calendar. I've used Google Calendars in the past. Sometimes when I'm in a pinch and I haven't been good about keeping on top of my to-do list, I will do it all on paper so I can just see what's in front of me. The point is to start taking your brain dump and scheduling out where everything will go. So essentially, when are you going to do each one of these? I'm going to identify the tasks that could be accomplished, that need to be accomplished today. This is usually a mix of urgency things, like it's gotta get done today or else, as well as some task clumping. Maybe I'll do my computer task tomorrow and I'll do my filming task today. I'll assign my tasks to each day of the week, putting like items on the same day. And finally, I'm going to schedule out my day so I know when I'm completing each task. And this is where I use time blocking. And as someone who has to shift between a lot of different hats every day, between mom and wife and homeowner and YouTuber and accountant and whatever all the other random things I do, I love having time blocks because it's essentially different blocks for my different hats. I have blocks of time for computer work, I have blocks of time for filming and creative work, I have mom life blocks and blocks for cleaning and home care and so on. I can kind of block it that way and it helps it make sense in my brain. So usually I do this last step on paper. It's just a method that's always worked for me. I like to start writing out my time blocks, and this is going to look different for every person for each day, but you want to create some blocks around the natural flow of your day. So I really love that the time blocks work for different types of day. If it's a day I'm with my kids, I can write in little notes of things to do inside of these time buckets so I don't forget to do them. And when I'm doing more like a heavy working day, I love it because the time blocks help keep me motivated and they help push me through and make sure I complete certain tasks. The reason I really like using time blocking along with a master list like a brain dump is I feel like it ensures nothing gets forgotten. Everything remains on the sort of like master list of my brain dump. So if my time block that day, something wasn't done, it's still on my brain dump. And so I make sure that when I do tomorrow's time block, I can always see it there, see that it hasn't been checked off, and make sure to schedule it again. Okay, so just a quick recap. Step 1, you are always brain dumping throughout the day as things pop into your head. Once a week, you're doing a bigger plan, deciding what has to get done each day that week. Each morning or the night before, you take 5 to 10 minutes to plan that day. You'll remove what was completed the day before from your brain dump and block out your day. And essentially you're just going to keep repeating this every day. Brain dumping, scheduling, brain dumping, scheduling. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is sort of how I conquer my to-do list. I really boiled it down to just these 2 steps that I essentially just repeat day after day after day. I'm constantly brain dumping. This is not just something I sit down and do once a day. Brain dumping is happening all the time. As I'm thinking about it, as something pops into my head, it is going into my brain dump. I'm writing it down in my Todoist app. And then every day I'm scheduling. I have usually my 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to schedule for the day. And then once a week, usually Sunday or first thing Monday morning, I sit down, I do a slightly longer schedule of my time. I hope that this video helped you out a little bit, maybe gave you some motivation or some tips or some ideas on how you can better conquer your to-do list. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you all in my next video.